Beta for Star Wars Battlefront 2 was released last week, and after getting over the initial disappointment of seeing it on the PlayStation Store and realising the first few days was only available if you'd pre-ordered the game, it was open to the public. Then I was able to sit down and put a few hours into the different modes that are available, so I'm just going to go through with you today what was in that beta and what I thought about it. So I know some of you guys that follow me may not know what a beta is, so I'm just going to give a quick rundown for anybody who doesn't know. This is basically a very large Q&A test for DICE to see how their games work, see the balancing on certain multiplayer options, any bugs that need to be fixed, and also it helps people make up their mind whether they're actually going to buy this game or not, because the beta is free to download. If people are like, I'm not entirely sure if I want to get this game or not, it gives them a chance to play it, and if they like it, that's increased sales. So there you go, that's what an open beta is. So in this beta we got 3 modes and 3 maps to play on. First one is Galactic Assault, and that's on the Theed map in Naboo. Second one is Strike, and that's on the Takodana map. And third one, we finally have space missions, and that's on a place called Fondor, which is a planet where above there's an Imperial docking area thing. That's where you get to fly around. So first thing to mention about this beta is the graphics are beautiful. That was the one saving grace of me about the last Battlefront, was it was actually a pleasure just to wander around the maps and take a look at the environments and all the little details that they decided to put in, because let's face it, the gameplay in the last one was it was awful. But everything in here just looks so incredibly good, especially on Theed, which is definitely my favourite map, just to look around and just take in the environment. The space mission as well, oh my god, the ships, just the detail in the distance with the planet and the stars and just everything. The lighting in that game is amazing, and I'm playing it on PS4, so I can imagine PC users, we're like here and they're like up there in terms of graphics. However, there are a few little improvements needed that me and my friend Ryan, who I was playing with for a few hours on the beta, did kind of think needed to be implemented. One thing he thought was a bit weird, especially on the Naboo map, there's a lot of like these free hanging curtains which for some reason are solid and bulletproof, and you'd imagine it's something that's got a lot of attention to detail that have like cloth physics and you'd be able to move through. There might be a reason that they don't have it in there, it might be just a thing for the beta, but again that was just something we kind of noticed. When everything is such a high level of detail, when something like that is missing, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. It's weird. Just add some cloth physics of my own. Ooh. Look at my attempt at a green screen. Now normally on consoles you do suffer from a fair bit of pop-in, and I didn't really notice any in this beta, apart from on the Takodana map. A few times playing in the map, some trees and some shrubs would pop in and out when I'm running through the foresty area, and you do notice a lot of pop-in when you do either the victory or the defeat cutscene, and the camera pans around Maz Kanata's castle, and you see everything like either pop in or pop out of existence, which is a little bit jarring. Again, where something is so nicely polished, things like that stick out even worse than they would do in something that, you know, if the graphics were a bit downgraded. Again, just a simple note for that one. Also, I felt, especially on the Naboo map, when you get vehicles you get to fly around in the air, when you're looking down at Naboo, everything again is suddenly downgraded. I know it's because they're rendering a larger portion of the map, but again, when you go from such high level of graphics and the lighting and everything looks beautiful, and then you go up in a spaceship and then everything starts to look a little bit more blocky, again it just sticks out and it's like, oh, it doesn't look quite as good from up here. So you got to try and ignore. So obviously these things can be improved. This is the beta. The game isn't releasing until mid to the end of November. I can't remember the exact date, so they've got a little bit of time to work on something, so I fully understand that. But with it being close to release, it is a question of, will they implement it, will they not? Again, another thing that just goes hand in hand with the graphics, same thing as the last game, the sound design is incredible.
Wrap this up or we'll have to disengage.
Lost too many. We'll retreat to fight another day.
The sound of the weapons and the explosions and the ships, and even the chatter between you and your other team members, especially when you're playing on droids.
I'm capturing the throne room. It's so fancy.
Normally, I don't like the fact that, especially in episode 3, they gave the droids the dumb personality. I feel it really didn't fit. But the kind of personality I have in this game, whilst being sort of a little bit kind of dumb, it fits. There's a certain line if you're playing as droids on the Theed map, if a clone is able to get his hands on an iron cannon and fire at the ship, you can sometimes hear one of your teammates' droids say, "Oh wow, I guess those iron disruptors really work." So that's not something the player triggers, it's just something that happens naturally in game. So that's quite a nice little touch, I really like that. And with how good all the explosions look and the way your character just sort of like animates like they've just get caught by something on the edge of a blast or a blaster bolt, and with the sound it makes you feel like you're running through a proper hardcore battle. It's amazing. Now to get down to the actual bit that I was worried about and wasn't sure was actually going to hold up right. In gameplay, because the gameplay was rather lackluster in the last Battlefront game, and we all wanted gameplay like the old Battlefront 2 from 2005, which is really confusing. Now we're going to have 2 Battlefront 2s now, it's all been rebooted. So first major change now, instead of just having one character for you to play through in your multiplayer and just upgrade that character with certain star cards and looks that you unlock with credits, you now play as different classes. First one's Assault. This is just a book standard class. You get a normal blaster rifle, some grenades, and I think there is another power up, but this is not one I've played with a lot because I could not get on with the standard class in this game, which for me was weird because just the basic class in the last Battlefront 2 was the one I excelled at. Heavy, which seems to be the most popular class at the moment. Heavy, you get a heavy blaster rifle, you get a Gatling gun, you get shields, and you get shot grenades. This is really great for close quarters combat, and it's also pretty good for range stuff as well, so it's a half decent all-rounder. So a lot of people do go for heavy. And most of my time in certain maps was played with a heavy character, especially on Takodana. You have an officer. This is one that I did get on quite well with on the Takodana map as well, not so much the other maps. But an officer, you've got a blaster pistol which does a pretty decent amount of damage and has decent range on it. As well, you get to momentarily boost some members around you if you've got more of your teammates around you. And you've got a little turret that you can use as well, which is pretty cool, especially for maps like Takodana, where you've got a few choke points in the castle, and yeah, it's definitely one of my favourites. And then you've got Specialist. This is your sniper class. This is the one I've been using the most. This is one I found my groove with. I'm really enjoying playing with the sniper class. I'm not that great, but it's really fun to play with. It's great for range, and it also works really well close quarters. So for Naboo, what I normally do is I play as a specialist all through the beginning until the MTT gets to the feed pads, and then I switch to heavy because it's a lot more close quarters, and that seems to work for me. The point system is also really good in this game. I enjoy how you earn points and what you actually use the points on. It actually makes it feel really rewarding to play the game rather than feeling rather dissatisfied if you're not getting any kills because they're getting stolen by other people, or if you just end up getting shot in the back a lot, which is normally what happens to me. So the way you earn points is by damaging other players, so you don't have to kill them to earn points. If you knock a bit of their health off, that goes into your points as well. And if you knock their health off but someone else gets the kill, you get points for a kill assist. Obviously you get more points if you get the actual kill, and if you're playing the objective, going to certain parts of the map and doing certain things rather than just running around and killing people, you get points for playing the objective. And you get points multipliers if you're hanging around with your squad a lot more. The respawn system, if you die, you're normally waiting in this little respawn delay area for 7-ish seconds, depending when you get in there. And in that time, if other people die, they join in with you, and then once 4 people are in there or the time has elapsed, you then redeploy, and then you're in this little group. And if you stay close with your team, again, that gives you extra points, and it gives people a real incentive to actually work as a team and not just run off and go do their own thing, which happens in a lot of other multiplayer games. So what do you use these points for? You can use these points to unlock certain things in these particular matches. You can unlock things like reinforcements, which are more powerful classes. You have things like on the clone side, you've got jet troopers, Wookiee warriors for droids, you've got rocket droids, super battle droids, Force Awakens stormtroopers, you've got flame troopers and jet troopers, and for the rebels, again, you've got a jet trooper, and I think that might be also a Wookiee for theirs as well. I can't quite remember. I normally get put on trooper when I play on Takodana. You can also use it to unlock ships if the certain game mode allows for you having ships in the level. So you can unlock different things. You can either just sit in the turret of a gunship or get to fly around your own starfighter on a level. And the one everybody wants is you can get points to unlock heroes, and the heroes that are available in this beta, you've got Darth Maul, Rey, Han Solo and Boba Fett. Those ones obviously cost the most points, so it depends on kind of like a risk system. If you think you're going to get enough points, then you can spend your points that you've already earned on a little lesser upgrade to try and help your team move forward, and then hope you get to build up enough points back to unlock the hero, or do what I do and try and save all my points up to the point that I get a hero. Haven't been able to get one yet. I've finally gotten good enough that I've been able to get the points before the end of the match, but either not quite and the match ends a bit too early, or when I do, somebody is already playing as the hero, so I can't unlock the hero, which really sucks. So I want to play as Darth Maul, damn it. Same with the last game, you do have star cards that you get unlockable daily crates. This is not something I've used, it's not something I really used for the last one. It doesn't seem to have a huge difference on the gameplay that I've noticed so far. I'm still easily able to get kills with having no star cards, but it's something I'll probably dive into a little bit more when the main game comes out. But for the beta, I'm just enjoying it playing just bog standard at the moment and just getting a feel of what the game's like. So I'm just going to move on to the maps and just go over some of the key points about these maps and these game types, and if any need any improvements. So the Naboo map on Feed, easily for me, is the best one out of all three. It seems to be well balanced. I never sort of saw one side constantly winning more than the other side. It was always quite even. And in this game mode, it's not just run around and gun, there are multiple objectives. If you're playing as the droids, you have what is called an MTT, which is like your really big droid carrier, and it's slowly moving through the middle of Feed, and you've got to protect it so it can get to the royal palace and blow up in the front doors for you. So at this time you kind of want to stop it from anybody who's been able to unlock a ship in the air and is flying around and attacking the MTT, or any clones that are going to get the iron disruptors, which are scattered around the map, and using that to damage your MTT as well. Once it reaches the front of the Feed Palace, it will blow open the front doors, allowing you to go inside, but the main throne room is sealed off via two controls, one on the east and one on the west. So what you need to do is you need to go in and unlock both of these controls. Now at this point, this is where it gets really hectic. You're now indoors, it's more enclosed. At this point, more people have more points to unlock the heroes, so you've normally got Darth Maul and Rey running about chopping people up with lightsabers, and it's absolutely manic. Once the doors are unlocked, you wait, they slowly come apart, and then you've got to push through and try and push out the clones of the throne room in order to capture it, or just completely decimate the team in order to win. Obviously if you're the clones, you're the ones that are defending. You've got to stop the droids from coming towards the palace, try and destroy the MTT before it gets there. If it does, you've got to stop them from taking the throne room. So playing both sides is really, really fun, and it's quite easy to win on both sides. There's no real difficulty challenge. You've just got to keep going at the objectives and keep trying to get rid of the enemy team, and I love it. This one's really good. And this is the game mode with the most unlockables. It has the most unlockable support characters, ships, and heroes as well. One thing I would like to have more similar to the old Battlefront 2 is actually having the ships around the map, things like the Naboo starfighters, so you can go and get into it. But with the way the map works, that when you're pushing forward, things at the far end of the map start getting blocking off with invisible walls, so you can't go further back. And then it stops people flying up and then just bombarding everybody in ships. So I know why they haven't done it, but just having your ship magically appear out of the air, it does take you out of the immersion a little bit. So that's just, again, a little point that personally I would have preferred if they had ships on the ground, but I know why they haven't done it. Second one, this is Strike on the Takodana map. This one is definitely unbalanced. This one is not as fun to play as Theed. I have yet to win a single map as the First Order. The way the map's set up, it is incredibly hard to win as the First Order. The Rebels have a definite advantage. And you don't mind the Rebels having certain advantages. Again, the old Battlefront 2 games, certain maps gave certain sides slight advantage, but not to the point where it is so hard to win that I've never seen the First Order get even close to winning on that map. So what it basically is you've got a section of forest and you've got Maz Kanata's castle. There is an artifact in the castle. If you're playing as the First Order, your objective is to go in, take that artifact, run back through the forest and go to your dropship where you've got to wait for extraction. It is very hard to do this. All the rebels start spawning in Maz's castle, so when you go in you're met with immediate opposition because they're obviously defending, and then when you go into the woods they're incredibly hard to see. The rebels are camouflaged. Your stormtroopers, you look like a giant marshmallow. So it's incredibly hard to find the rebels to pick them off before you get there, and you normally find you end up getting shot through bushes and round corners and things like that. and when you drop the artifact there is a certain delay on it where it will stay there, but if it doesn't get picked up with a certain amount of time it will respawn back in the castle. So there is a heck of a lot of back and forth between the forest where we haven't been able to pick it up and quite get to the drop ship, because whoever picks up is immediately shot down, and it's like you get forward like a little bit each time and then it respawns back, and then by the time you've done that several times all your team lives are gone and you lose. So it's definitely unbalanced and it needs a bit of work just to make the First Order have it a little bit easier, because the map's not very big, so you can all just get squished in one area, and it is a bit hectic but not in the best of ways. And as I said, this is the one that seems to have the most graphical issues with things like popping, and even stuff when you're walking through the water it doesn't seem to make a splash, things like that. And I have noticed some glitches on this. There was a flame trooper whose flame was stuck in mid-air and he was off somewhere else. It was just this constant flame coming out for a few seconds, but the rest of the map is really faithfully recreated to the film, and there's even the little 501st flag Easter egg in the same place that it was in the movie, and my friend Ryan, who I was playing with, is a member of the 501st, so I showed him that and he got quite excited. Finally we got the space mission. This is above a planet called Fondor. This is a sort of space station where Imperial Star Destroyers come to dock and they get repaired, and again this is the one which has multiple objectives, so it's not a case of just fly around, shoot people and just keep bombarding the ship. If you're playing as the rebels, you go in and what you want to do is you want to get rid of all the defences that they have. They've got little ships that are flying around with auto turrets on. You want to get rid of those ships, obviously take out as many fighters as you can, and then when that's done you go into the bowels of their big station and go shoot some of the shield generators. Then you go to the Star Destroyer. You've got to try and destroy the couplings that are holding it in place, and then destroy the little life support system that's on the bottom. Don't destroy the life support in times the couplings go back on, so you've got to go back up, destroy those and go back down. But this one has the least amount of players in it, which is interesting, and you do get quite a lot of enemy AI. But again, wonderful attention to detail. The enemy AI has the same names as the enemy AI in the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. On Rebels you've got things like Thrak Gorshan. Anyone who's played Star Wars Battlefront 2 for many years, names like this stick in your brain. And I was like, oh my god, either someone's a massive fan or that's an AI. And it said AI at the end, and I was like, they've actually put the AI from the old game in the new game. Again, this map looks beautiful, the sound design is amazing, one of my favourite sounds from Star Wars, like the TIE fighters, and when you're attacking the Star Destroyer you can hear the Star Destroyer alarm go off. And even first person in the ships isn't too hard to fly about in. I actually managed to fly about in first person in a TIE fighter for quite a while and not crash into anything. Speaking about crashing, one problem I had was the control system when I first booted up this game mode. It was an absolute nightmare. The way the controls were laid out on the sticks, I was just flying around in one big messy loop-de-loop. I could not straighten myself off, I kept flying to the side of ships, I couldn't follow ships to destroy them. I had to spend a good 5 minutes rummaging through the menus to try and tweak what analog stick did what, and had to disable the roll mechanic that's on there, because if you touch the analog stick to the side just a little bit your ship ends up going like that rather than just moving a little bit, and it made it quite hard to control, which is a shame because you could do rolls and really cool maneuvers just with the two control sticks on Star Wars Battlefront 2 and the PS2. But again, it's simplified here. It's improved from the last Battlefront game, but simplified from the old Battlefront 2. So it's rewiring my brain to this new mechanic, and disabling the roll is a need to have because it's an absolute nightmare to control with that on. As well, something that I feel is missing from the controls is having the evasive maneuvers. On the old Battlefront 2, on the D-pad on the controller, you could double tap them and you can do evasive maneuvers, roll to the side, flip back and go the other way, which really helps when someone's locking on with a missile, because at the moment all your options are is to just speed away and try and go around a corner, and sometimes there's absolutely no way to evade a missile, or just to turn around really quickly. So having those things I think would be better, especially for flying in such close quarters when you're going in the middle and you want to get up and flip and do all this stuff. It's something that I think would work well, but again, something may be implemented, something may not. You don't know. And finally, I'm just going to talk about certain bugs that I encountered in this, so just in case, you know, DICE may see this. Who knows if there's anything other people did sort of encounter in the beta, do let me know down below. But these were a couple of things that I encountered, and some of them might be detrimental to some players, and one of them was just little things in there. So the main bug I encountered was a grenade glitch. This happened when I was playing as both clone and droid on the feed map. I was running through the streets and I saw a bunch of droids and I went to throw a grenade, but one of them killed me, so my character didn't actually get to throw that grenade. Then I was waiting in the respawn, and when I respawned without me touching the buttons, my character would then throw the grenade that they were going to throw before I died, automatically without any button input from myself, which wouldn't be too bad, but the grenades do have a cooldown timer on them, so you have an infinite amount, but then once you throw one you've got to wait for the cooldown timer to elapse before you can throw another one, which is not going to be good if you respawn, automatically throw it round a corner, and then you see a bunch of droids or clones and you're like, really need my grenade right now. So that might be something that needs to be looked at. The other couple ones are just visual bugs. There was just a small visual bug that I encountered and I thought looked really trippy, so I was going to include it here. This is one absolutely manic puddle that I think someone just spilt a load of LSD into. You get NPCs running around on the feed map. When you spawn as clones, you can see them run off and dart between all the little alleyways in the feed trying to get away from the fight. But if you go to the edge of the map on one particular side and look across the water, you can see these NPCs running manically backwards and forwards down the same bit of path, which is kind of weird, so it's probably better if they weren't there. And another big one my friend Ryan found when we were actually looking at the NPCs running backwards and forwards over the river. His character got his binoculars out and it went absolutely manic and started going all yellow and green pixelated, and I tried it and my binoculars did exactly the same thing.
Whoa! Oh, yep, there it is. Yeah, I got it. Oh, that's weird. Oh yeah, it's just when you look at a specific area.
So if you're a specialist character that does use the binoculars to tag enemies, if this happens then obviously this isn't very good and it's something that does need to be sorted. But again, we don't know if it's just something coming from the beta. Things like this is why they do it. It's going to be fixed hopefully in the main release. That's it for my thoughts and feelings on Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new Star Wars Battlefront 2. And the old Star Wars Battlefront 2 has had its servers officially reopened, so that's in the news. So searching Star Wars Battlefront 2 is now really complicated because no one knows what Star Wars Battlefront 2 you mean. But yes, this has just restored my hope that this game is going to be a much greater improvement than the last one. Still, the old Star Wars Battlefront 2 is probably going to be my favourite purely for the amount of content it has. So many maps and different levels and different game types and different single player modes, as well as having a pretty good multiplayer presence. But hopefully Battlefront 2 single player would be absolutely superb. I'm very excited about it. Hopefully they do a good job on it, because this is a story following on from what happened after the Emperor died. And you get to play as the bad guys. You don't get to do that often. Yes, I get to play as a fully fledged story, as a fully fledged Imperial. Yes! And I'll be really excited to test out some of the new maps if they put others in single player arcade mode and as well in the multiplayer mode. So it won't be too long before that comes out. So I'm super excited. Anyway, that's my opinions, my thoughts, my views. You guys may have something different to say. Let's just do a conversation down below. Anybody got their opinions they want to share? Stick it down below. And as always, may the Force be with you.